we're talking about seeds and flowers, and about how sometimes flowers look like you think flowers are going to look, and sometimes they don't. Well, this is a little bit like one remaining azalea flower that looks more like what we think a flower is going to look like. And you see the stamen and the stigma really well. And remember, the stamen is the part that produces the pollen. That's where the pollen would be. And the stigma is the part that receives the pollen. And so we're going to look at that in several other flowers. We're going to walk by the rose bush here. I'm walking up, pardon the dogs, walking up to the rose bush, and we're going to see lots of beautiful flowers that you can see are opened up enough that you can see right inside and see the stamen and the stigma. That looks like a whole bunch of stamen, and because you see all the little yellow pollen parts in it. Like if you shake it, that's where the pollen is. The stamen is where the pollen parts are. The stigma is kind of in the middle, and that's where the bee drops its pollen off and fertilizes the flower so that seeds can be produced. And in a rose, we learned that the seeds are down here at the bottom in that little pod, and people call that a rose hip. So here are my roses, lots of examples, and there are the buds, here are the flowers, there's the inside. We're going to go up to the front of the yard now. Last week, I did not know what it was called, but I have learned a lot about it from Cheryl. It's called Rose of Sharon, and the thing that I have figured out is it's got these little pods inside, but then you can see evidence down below of where the pods kind of open up. And when the pods open up, let me see if I can find a good one where the pods kind of opened up. Yeah, here's one. The pod opened up, and inside you can see the stamen and the stigma, and you can see lots of, so there are those little pods, and then they sort of open up, and look at all the, do you remember what kind of flower that is? That's oak flower all over the place. Oak flower. So if I looked up, I would see oak trees, and probably if I dug around down here, I would find some acorns. Something that a whole lot of you probably have near your house or in your yard, and it's called a magnolia tree. And they're really prevalent in the South. And if you look right here, this one has a flower that's getting ready. It's about this one is full of potential blooms everywhere right in the middle. That's where there's going to be a flower on this magnolia tree. And then of course after the flower, then you have, here is a good example right down here. After the flower, then the flower produces some fruit, and the fruit has the seeds, and this is a seed pod, but it was from last year. All the seeds are gone. When you find one, like this will be much later in the year, like in the summer, when you'll find after the flowers finish blooming, you get the seed pods, then the seeds are actually bright red in a pod like this. And you can take those seeds. I found a really cool video where they actually grew magnolia trees from the seeds from a magnolia seed pod, and directions for how to do that. So you better believe I'm going to be doing that next year, because I don't have a magnolia tree in my yard. It's just, I had not even noticed it until right now. It reminds me a lot of dandelions that we see all over the place, out on the playground and everywhere, and they're just weeds that grow, but you have the parts of there's the flower, and then after the flower it has the little seeds that come, and then the seeds just go to new places through the wind. There they go to make a new flower. I don't know what this is, but it reminds me of a dandelion.